please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
I'm delighted that Network 18 has chosen to organize the Global Natural Resources Conclave, more so because the natural resources of a country define its future. Very often when we talk about GDP, when we talk about what constitutes national wealth, we fail to realize the important role that minerals have while calculating national wealth, national prosperity. In some sense, whatever is below the ground, in terms of the mineral wealth, or for that matter, even the soil on which agricultural produce is grown, the produce that comes on the ground, it could be as simple as the forest cover in a country. A large number of minerals in the country. I believe at last count we have mining activity in about 88 minerals, totaling to about an output of $40 billion without considering petroleum products. Now, on the one hand, this may sound like a good figure, it may sound like a significant output, but to my mind, it's certainly not the true potential of India. There's a lot more we can do. There is huge opportunity out there. Since I also hold the charge of coal, and today I'm facing the stress of not being able to sell the amount of coal that we are producing. As many of you may be aware, we have actually regulated the output of coal, the production of coal, in the last 12 months for lack of adequate avenues to consume that coal. And one of the principal causes of that is that in earlier years, we never imagined that India could be a coal surplus country. The time is ripe for India to aggressively go for more and more exploration of our natural wealth, our national resources. In fact, recently we have given out 100 areas for exploration, some to the government companies, some are being bid out to private companies. The idea being that once we have a fair idea or a fair estimate of the natural wealth in those mines, we'll have the ability to run a transparent auction process and give licenses to people to exploit that, to mine the mineral from these areas. At one point, I was estimating that the GDP of India comprises about 2.4% of mineral wealth. Can we look at seeing whether we can double that? And what would be a fair timetable or a fair time frame in which we can double this potential? I would urge the participants of this conference to reflect on it. I invite all of you to be a part of this growth story in India. India is open for business. Please be a part of that story. Thank you very much.
India is in a typical position. And let me at the outset say, whatever the changes in power equations in various countries and particularly developed countries have happened, India will walk the talk on its optimum utilization of natural resources in a sustainable manner, and we will stick to our goals despite many countries trickling away and allowing now coal-fired power stations also. India is the only country which is charging coal production and taxing coal production, putting on in a way carbon tax of 400 rupees per ton, nearly $6.5. It has never done. When I announced this, I announced this on international forum, UN Ban Ki-moon was asking me how it was possible. Nobody opposed it. It is not possible in America and in Europe and everywhere. Nobody can tax that much. But we taxed, and I said, we are happy that though we have 36 parties in parliament, still this taxation was welcomed by one and everybody, because that is the commitment of Indian ethos, which gives that space for really sustainable actions. And now we have 54,000 crore rupees collected through this cess on coal, and that we are utilizing for clean energy. This new sensitivity to be built around optimum utilization of natural resources can be done by curriculum changes, revising the curriculum, and through education. And I'm very sure I can go on and tell you many things, but in every sustainability options, there are business opportunities. We must grab them. We must catch them. And when we catch them, we grow exponentially on sustainability front as well as on business front.
When India is emerging as the market of energy in the whole world, when there is a stagnancy in the different part of world, there is a vibration, there is a growth, there is a new sense of enthusiasm in the industry, primarily in the energy market. If I go by the IES, International Energy Association's report, my next 25 years, out of 100%, 30% incremental energy requirement will be coming from this point, from India. With a challenging scenario, when world is growing around 3.1, this year India's growth is around 7.9. There's a prediction India will be achieving double-digit growth very soon. Petroleum sector is the major driver, energy is the major driver of this growth. The greenfield FDI is India has surpassed all the records in the last 3 years. Today we are around 75 to 80% importer. By 2022, looking into that point of requirement, Prime Minister has given us a target to reduce by 10%. Petroleum industry is the one of the key partner of digital transaction of this country. This 2 days deliberation, 2 days conclave will be a win-win situation for everybody, for the industry, for the policy planner, for the opinion maker, and finally to the citizen of this country.
I think anywhere in the world, we always wonder what really causes economic growth. In fact, if you have to leverage either the natural resources or human resources, and a third element of growth that is necessary, which is capital, which can flow from any part of the world to the other part of the world. The leveraging of natural resource with human capital will cause even a higher rate of growth. India is uniquely poised with a lot of natural resources as well as human capital to harness that. And I think therefore it's a great opportunity for India to really grow on a high trajectory of growth by using natural resources in a proper manner. I think we can just imagine, as it is, the world is struggling to find out a solution to provide jobs to this growing population. One of the great job provider, and people underestimate it, is arising out of the natural resource management. The transportation sector, even the railways, take railways for example. 2/3 of the revenue come from transportation, the freight. And bulk of the freight that we handle is natural resources. Just imagine the job creation coming out of this entire value chain. So ultimately, we should now try to put our heads together to find out what are the best practices we can use globally. How can we set those global standards which will be used all over the world so that natural resource management becomes a good possible activity which will sustain economic growth all over the world.
I started Vedanta almost 20 years back. Like any other upcoming entrepreneur, there were setbacks and successes. Importantly, we built the first copper smelter plant in India. That's how we started. Nobody can believe that we have contributed through the natural resource production 55,000 crore to the exchequer this year. And we have created 1 million jobs directly and indirectly. This is the power of natural resource. At present, India produces only 20% of minerals requirement. Mining represents 2.4% of GDP versus 8.5% of Australia. India is spending $500 billion on imports. With 7% growth in 5 to 7 years, this can cross almost $1 trillion import. India has a better geology compared to China. And China produces 10 times more than India, and almost 40% production of the world of minerals. We can open up this sector by introducing self-certification and have a strict environment regulation. This sector will create new downstream industry, which will contribute significantly to India's new economy. Hundreds and thousands of medium and small-scale industry can be set up to process this raw material for further manufacturing, which can create 10 to 15 crores new jobs. For the world, there will never be a better time than this to invest in India. Under the leadership of Mr. Modi, our Prime Minister, as he is taking the country from $2 trillion economy to $20 trillion economy, and from red tape to the red carpet. With this government, which is very focused on technology, digitalization, communication, I believe that decade will be ours. If we all join hands and work together, we will create new India. I wish you all the best, very best. Thank you very much.
The initiative showcased India as a formidable global player in the natural resources landscape, enabling global businesses an opportunity to partake on the untapped opportunities in India. Lending support to the conclave were leading domain experts, country partners and global think tanks active in the space.
Thank you very much for inviting me to speak at this important Global Resources Forum. Prime Minister Modi is moving mountains in your country. Prime Minister Modi's leadership and red tape reduction has transformed India. India is now the fastest growing major economy in the world, lifting living standards and bringing many out of the misery of poverty. In addition, the Indian inflation rate has dropped, and according to business newspaper Live Mint, foreign direct investment has been growing at an annual average rate of over 28% over the last 3 years, resulting in India hitting a high of over 46 billion of foreign direct investment in 2016. Leading global bank Deutsche Bank estimates that foreign direct investment in India this year will exceed that of 2016. Now, in Australia, I am often suggesting that our government in Canberra think and act as India's doing under Prime Minister Modi's leadership. The Senate right now is debating whether to limit the government's promise to tax cuts to just small businesses, turnover 10 million a year, no more. And that means excluding the medium and big businesses that hire millions of us, the ones whose investment we both most need. Oh, and that tax cut, it won't be 5% anymore, pure fiddling while the country burns. Australia now risks missing out on $25 billion of investment over the next decade. Unemployment has gone up to 5.9%. Investment is weak. The government's net debt has already jumped past $300 billion. Yet what do we hear at this very minute from the Senate of Australia? The sound of politicians fiddling. I keep reminding our governments that Australia needs to learn from the Indian leadership and now President Trump's economic leadership also, by taking decisive steps to make doing business in high-cost Australia easier, and like India, roll out the red carpet for investors. Thank you, and watch out, Australia.
It's really a pleasure to be here with so many people with energy. Global Natural Resources Conclave is an excellent opportunity to share ideas and pursue investment in energy in India's future. And as the balance sheets recover, global energy investors will invest scarce new capital in the best economic opportunities. They will seek short-cycle projects to maintain flexibility. So all countries need to consider how to attract energy investment, talent, resources, and to encourage investment. For the Indian natural resources sector, this means stable legal frameworks, predictable tax regimes, sanctity of contracts, timely project approvals, and clear regulations to attract and sustain global capital, especially in these times of very strict capital discipline. In this new global reality, it's thus heartening to see the Indian government's focus on attracting and sustaining investments. India has the geologic potential and the future home market demand, so this focus is really compelling. The Indian natural resources sector over the last 2 years has seen a series of policy reforms. Enhanced transparency, accountability, and auction-based forward-looking framework will have a lasting impact on India's development of natural resources and play a pivotal role in reducing poverty. Under the able leadership of the dynamic and visionary Honorable Prime Minister, India is well positioned to leverage its vast natural resources potential.